Richard Franco, I'm the High School District. In a moment, we're going to hear from Dr. Chad Gueston, the Phoenix Union Superintendent, as well as Assistant Chief Connolly from Phoenix Police Department. They're going to say some opening remarks, and then we will provide a brief amount of time for any questions that we have from the media that's here present today. So once again, thank you for coming, and I'll hand it over to Superintendent Dr. Chad Gueston.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here today and for your care and concern for the community of Central High School. I do want to start with thanking so many people involved in today's events. First, I do want to start with thanking the Central High School staff. Did an incredible job today navigating what turned out to be a very stressful afternoon. Principal Leticia Avalos, her entire admin team, safety teams, staff were incredible here at Central High School today. I also want to thank our local neighbors, our neighbors outside, as we had media, as we had parents, and we had community gathering. Our local neighbors brought out water and food to assist at Central High School. And then, of course, certainly want to thank Phoenix Police Department and Phoenix Fire, who were incredible partners today as we navigated in the moment what seemed to be a very scary and uncertain situation. I also do just want to note that we live in really heightened and uncertain times. With a post-Uvalde America, there's a lot of parents and a lot of students that are really concerned about school safety, and when there are any rumors or allegations about firearms or shootings on campus, we understand these are really emotional situations. I do just want to start by being very clear there, and we'll talk about the facts here in a moment, that there were no weapons found on our campuses. There were no confirmed shots fired on our campuses, and no injuries related to any weapons related to the incidents of today. Specifically, what occurred today is a little bit after 12 o'clock p.m. during lunchtime, a fight occurred on Central High School's campus. That caused a disruption that led to students believing that they heard a popping noise on campus or outside of campus that could have been construed as gunshots. Of course, there was an immediate emotional reaction from students when they believed there could be shots fired on a campus. And the campus did an incredible job, campus administration immediately calling a lockdown as a precaution here at Central High School, at Phoenix Coding Academy next door, and in communication with other schools in the area. The entire local community, as a precaution, went into lockdown. Of course, we also live in a day and age with access to technology, and so many of our students and staff, through social media posts and videos, texted and called their parents, and that quickly led to several 911 phone calls to Phoenix Police Department with concerns about shooting, presence of a shooter, maybe even an active shooter on this campus. And in a little bit, you'll hear from Chief Connolly with what Phoenix PD does and Phoenix Fire does when there's a possibility of a school shooting. Of course, Central High School administration also reached out to local PD to make sure that we were in instant communication and partnership on the possibility of a disruption here at Central High School. Again, in a moment, you'll hear about Phoenix PD's response. Again, thank you so much for all that you did today and your ongoing support. Once campus was all clear and Phoenix PD made their rounds throughout campus, we did have a reunification process in Phoenix Union and schools in our valley and really across our country. There's a reunification process that typically doesn't take place on campus. For Central High School, reunification takes place at Steele Indian School Park. Do want to continue to thank the City of Phoenix, too, for its partnership in all things, including parks and recreation. And where we're at today is we can confirm a couple of things. Again, no weapon was found, no confirmation of shots fired. If there are rumors or videos of students that may have been injured, we did have a couple of students had heat-related injuries, and we did have one student that had a hurt hand. Don't know the origin of that injury, but there were just a few. I believe we have 3 or 4 confirmed injuries, again, primarily heat-related, non-related to the incident or the rumors of firearms or shooting. And at this moment, I'd love to turn it over to Chief Connolly, who will share Phoenix PD's perspective, and then I'll come back up, share a couple more thoughts, and answer questions. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. My name is Sean Patrick Connolly. I'm Assistant Chief of the Phoenix Police Department. I have the privilege of leading the men and women in the Patrol Division. This community was at its best this afternoon. I think you heard Dr. Geston speak to the role of relationships and communication, and I'll talk a little bit about that before I get into some of the facts related to our response, but I want to be very clear. We value and treasure our relationships and our partnerships with the school districts in our city. Phoenix Union is one of those. We speak upstream on these types of things. We coordinate and collaborate at a high level for days like this, and so tremendous partner. The other partner in this is the Phoenix Fire Department. We in the Phoenix Police Department could not do our job at the level we do it without the men and women of the Phoenix Fire Department. So it was a unified approach as we embarked upon coming to the school. And then most importantly from my perspective is the incredible bravery and men and women of the Phoenix Police Department in their response today. I'm so proud of how they handled their business on this campus, in the community surrounding it, and negotiated what were some unknowns at times. So let me give you a little bit of the fact pattern as we know it. At 12:14 this afternoon, we received our first 911 call. And in that call, it was a child on campus indicating they were in a classroom and that there were shots being fired. So I think that's really important. As you see our response, many of you were outside the campus and saw the gravity of our response, and that's how we handle these. And so that initiated our response to the scene. Within 2 minutes, our aircraft was overhead, and within that same minute, we had officers responding on foot into the campus environment, being directed to where we thought we had active threats. There was no hesitation. We train for this. We prepare for this. And so when they get on scene, there is communication with staff. Lockdowns are in place, but things are still open. And we have to take in and digest this information and then aggressively respond to where we think we have threats or we need to save and protect life. And that's immediately what we did. It then transitions into a second phase of additional really great communication with the school, where those that are in lockdown, where we anchor out in front of those doors, we then prepare for a lockdown release. At any time during this, we have set up a unified command with Phoenix Fire right off site, where all this information is being brought together and intelligently processed. Fire is staging many medical resources at very key locations should we have a mass casualty event. Thank goodness today we did not. As you heard, the information we have based on everybody we've talked to, information from the school is there was a verbal altercation that expanded to a physical altercation that was small in nature. And then what you had is, I think to Dr. Geston's point, is there's just a lot of tension right now related to school shootings. And I think that then had its ability to expand, and you had some panic go throughout the campus. You had lockdowns initiated, and then you had people calling us thinking they had heard gunfire. So that, in a nutshell, is our response. We are super grateful that nobody was seriously hurt. You heard some of the injuries related to some of the heat-related stuff and a small hand injury on campus. Another really important timeline on this is that by 3:30, we had cleared the entire campus, and parents were being reunited with their children. This dynamic, as we are all parents, of having parents respond and want to be intimately involved in protecting and ensuring their children is important, and we understand it. We see through that parent's lens. And in that same vein, we have to make sure we do everything we can to ensure that everything is safe on this. And so that parent reunification that I think you heard the doctor speak to is also a really important part of how we handle our business on these incidents. And so then we were in the process of standing up light rail. As you know, light rail, there were some other schools in the area that were locked down, and then moving on from the incident. There will be significant training briefs done on this. We've promised to commit to this relationship into the future, whether it's more informational sessions with parents, providing them context about how these things happen and how we respond to them. So with that in a nutshell is how we responded this afternoon. I'll have Dr. Guestin come up, and we're more than happy to answer some questions.
You mentioned that there was no gun that was recovered on campus. Could there have been a gun that had left campus? One of the students that we spoke with said that they had seen physically a gun. Is that a possibility? Or
I'll answer that really quickly. No gun was found. So for us to speculate if whether or not somebody had a gun or they saw a gun, what we know today is there are several pictures of guns on social media, and so sometimes kids think they've seen a gun because they saw a picture of a gun, and it doesn't necessarily mean it was on that campus. So we can't confirm and should not speculate.
Is it too early to confirm if that phone call was made from the campus?
I don't know.
That initial, no, I'm happy to, I'm not happy. I can tell you that without a doubt that initial phone call came from the campus. We had, if you follow Twitter or you see it, we had numerous students tweeting, texting, and there were phone calls made from students from on the campus. And that is one of the operational dynamics of this that we have to take into consideration is you have students with the power of cell phones in real time communicating with family members, 911, and providing us with that information. As it relates to the assault, and I think that'll help you with some of your detectives from our Violent Crimes Bureau have been assigned the minor altercation, physical altercation, and they will be investigating that thoroughly. If down the road at a further time things come to light evidentiary-wise that augment today's actions, we will make sure that we include that. If that helps.
And a question for you. A couple of years ago, I know that the district decided to cancel its agreement to have school resource officers. Question, do you have school resource officers today? Does Central High School have one today?
Yeah, so Phoenix Union did not have a school resource officer on campus today, but as you can see, we maintain a strong partnership as we prepare for incidents and days like today.
Follow-up question. In this post-Uvalde world, retention is high amongst parents, students, staff. When it comes to the threat of school shootings, is it a decision that you're reconsidering?
So Phoenix Union, first of all, has a very comprehensive safety plan. Law enforcement is one part of that plan. In fact, we have a 16-point plan to keep our campuses safe. We continue to partner with the city, our governing board, and our leaders to determine the future of law enforcement usage. We still do have a partnership and do use officers as we need them, but we at this point in time don't have school resource officers on our campus.
How important would it have been to have an officer on campus when this call came in to communicate with other officers to deem this situation safe before all the apparatus came?
Yeah, what we two responses to that. First of all, what we have very clear, fast communication and very fast response time with or without an SRO. What we also know is that if there's an SRO on campus and there is the threat of an active shooter, that even that SRO will reach out for more support. And so the response that you saw today, you would see whether you had an SRO on the campus or not. And so I think it's the partnership and the communication that matters most.
We heard from some parents that there was a lockdown at the high school last week. Is this in any way connected to what happened last week? Was it also a fight?
No, so there was a lockdown last week at Central High School, and what you are all probably very well aware as you cover schools across the valley and the country, that there are social media threats constantly, unfortunately. And as we investigate social media threats, depending on the time of day, just to be careful, we do put schools in lockdowns from time to time. But the lockdown of last week and the incident of last week has nothing to do with today's incident.
Part of the tension from some parents that we spoke to, they said that their children, when all the commotion happened during the fight, was that some of the kids went outside. What's the control that you guys have over that? And have you guys confirmed that those kids made it safe back to their parents?
Yeah, so in Phoenix Union, of course, we have perimeter fencing around. We also make sure that as soon as an incident like this happens, we go into lockdown. If students right before the lockdown choose to leave campus, then of course they leave campus. There were some students that did leave campus right before the lockdown, and so we can confirm they left. We can't confirm every single child, but the families and parents that we've talked to have reunified with their students and parents. But again, pre-lockdown, if a student chooses to leave the campus, some students did, but during the lockdown, no one is allowed to leave campus or enter the campus.
Something else we heard from students in talking to them question whether the metal detectors on campus are operational or working. Can you confirm that?
Yeah, so anytime an incident like this comes up, we start to hear about metal detectors and clear backpacks and other safety procedures. Phoenix Union does not have metal detectors at the entrances of our campuses. We do have handheld metal detectors that we can and have used in the past when we feel it's necessary, but we do not have a daily procedure of metal detectors on this campus. And but at any point in time, we have an incident like this. Of course, we use the incident to review all processes. And we'll also in the future have a parent meeting, and I'm sure we'll hear more about clear backpacks and metal detectors and law enforcement support. And we'll listen and, if possible, improve our procedures.
Any theory what the popping sounds were, if it was firearm related?
No, tough to speculate. I know that a couple of the students that our Central High School administration talked to actually believe that the popping sound was near the light rail, not even on campus. But no, we don't know what it could be. Doors slamming, gates slamming, but should not speculate on what the popping sound was.
We'll take two more questions.
Yeah.
With the fight, do you know who was involved in that fight, or have they been in custody? What is the result of that?
Any arrests?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, unless you know differently, sir, at this point in time, no arrests. Assuming individual involved were minors, we have to be very careful about what we share. But anytime there's an altercation of any kind, our campus works on a campus-level investigation to determine if there are any consequences, and then, of course, if it rises to the level of law enforcement notification, then, as you heard earlier, that they would investigate and determine if any further law action needs to take place.
Is there any final question?
Going forward, is there any additional press conferences that are going to happen perhaps tomorrow or anything of that nature with any follow-up information regarding that gun, what the popping sound may have been, or if there is going to be an arrest?
If we believe we have learned new information that's worthy of a press conference, we would be open to sharing one. We do believe probably that the next step would be if new information comes, we would do more of a press release than a press conference. But if we do feel like new information comes out, we would do so.
Can you spell your names? Sorry.
No problem. Chad Gaston, last name is Geston.
Sean Patrick Conley, S-E-A-N, Patrick, P-A-T-R-I-C-K, Conley, C-O-N-N-O-L-L-Y.
Yeah, and I'll just make one final comment too, for what it's worth, and Assistant Chief mentioned it, but just thank you to the parents. It's tough to be a parent. I'm not only superintendent of Phoenix Union, I'm actually a parent in Phoenix Union, and so I know the anxiety of parents, and so we appreciate the support and trust and patience of parents, and we'll continue to reach out to them to make sure that we've heard their concerns as well. Thank you.
All right, we thank you all for attending. Please reach out if you have any further questions to my office, and we'll be happy to help you and support in any way. Thank you very much.
Thank you.